name is Carrie Palace. The purpose of my speech today is to focus on kids and ways to be more of a friend to them, rather than just a strict disciplinarian. As all of us in this room knows, being a kid is hard enough without all of the other distractions that exist in our world. One little trick that I have found in my experience with my son can be related back to this stop sign. Although this may just look like an ordinary stop sign, it could actually stand for more if you choose to see it in a different way. I will say in my experience with my son, there are times when a quick check could be made in the actions of both parent and child. This can be accomplished by just stopping to catch your breath, stopping before you say something you may regret, stopping to view the scenario at hand. You may not even be arguing about the same issue, or unpleasant as it sounds, your child may be just having a bad day and need someone to lash out at. Once the brakes have been hit, the conversation should not end there. It is important to acknowledge that there are issues with growing up, such as parents don't understand, or even from a parental view, why don't kids ever listen? Although there is no correct or even easy answer, acknowledging the differences is important. This leads us to the second aspect of the plan. Look. Oh. Oh. There it is. The ways that you can alter a conversation constructively. There are many ways to do it. Sit down and have a conversation. You can also take a child for a walk and get them to open up. I know just driving with my son, and especially now that he's driving, we do a lot of talking in the car. It's actually quite a lot of fun. If you look at the issues that you're arguing about, it sometimes is easy to see that there are better parts of the conversation. If there's little chance for agreement on behalf of you and your child, for example, your child wants to stay up late or watch a show on a school night, which happens quite often, not necessarily with even younger kids, but teenagers, they always want to push it just that one extra step. Acknowledge that there is a definite difference between agreeing to do something rather than being bullied into doing something. If there's a big test on that next day, ask your child if they'd like to sit and go over their schoolwork while they're watching the show a little bit later. Sometimes that agreement can bring you to a closer accord. So taking out the book and just sitting there and helping them kind of helps out. And a lot of times it helps you too. You could learn things that you never really thought of until such time. Many children just want to know that they're being cared for and listened to. Pretty much just like we all do. But that's probably one of the most important steps, is looking and focusing on what the issues at hand are. Once the situation's been cooled down to a more palatable temperature, even sometimes more important than even stopping and looking, is the aspect of listening. Listening is something that a lot of people don't take time to do, but it generally yields the greatest result. There are many opportunities to listen to what you have to say, consider what the child may be feeling, and ask how they would deal with conflict if they were the parent. Sometimes stepping into somebody else's shoes gives you a different version of how it would feel to be a youngster. And even younger kids can sometimes appreciate that isn't how they would want to deal with their own kids once they're older. It does give the child the ability to look at other methods to solve an issue, such as talking things out. Sometimes that doesn't work and a timeout needs to be instituted, but most of the time kids will listen. An additional concept to point out is that when you were a kid, and our parents seem to have always had it tougher than we have it, even the negative outcomes of just allowing a child to rule the roost can get in the way. If you're really being pushed around by your kids, which I haven't done with my son, there's little progress that can be made. You really sometimes do have to be kind of a disciplinarian, but don't push them to the point where they can't deal with the situation on their own. It's important to focus on listening most of the time. That usually gets to the crux of the issues. But listening from an early stage is much more important than waiting till a fight has actually occurred. That's not a good thing. As I wrote in this, all of these little hints can be used with both adults and kids. As I was writing it, I was thinking, boy, that sounds like having a husband, having a girlfriend, having a boyfriend. Because a lot of times you just forge ahead, you want your own way. And that's not always the best way. Remember to stop, look, and listen to make your life a little bit easier. And it can turn out pretty well in